Actually, the story that they were talking about is called Soldier Story. And it wasn't about killing cops at all. That's just what the media took, because you know they're going to take what they want. It was about somebody who was so scared of police brutality that he panicked when they pulled him over. They didn't talk about none of that. They just took what they wanted.
The media generally has portrayed Tupac in basically a negative light.
Your song, I Don't Give an F.
I start the song out sitting in a paddy wagon and the cops are bragging about beating up another brother.
What that shows is what the media on any day is able to show you about anyone's life. And in reality, people live their life on a day-to-day basis.
So I feel like my job is to tell a story, the whole story, and I can't censor it. Whatever you say, censor it or making it right, it's still censoring it. You know, we all got to have the knowledge of what's going on, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, so you don't advocate cop killing?
Not at all. I don't advocate violence in any way.
I'm just curious as to whether the song that he was listening to had anything to do with cop killing, or...
No, I just said I don't write songs about cop killing.
But it did have the lyrics
don't six of the songs on your album mention cop killing?
No.
Oh, that's not true.
No, all my songs talk about
true.
police brutality and self-defense. Now, that's something different.
If we're going to talk about police, this man over here is in a really rough area, and he puts his life on the line every day.
I got so much respect for him for that, but look, we have to live in the same neighborhoods without bulletproof vests, without backup, without walkie-talkies, without guns, without tear gas, without pepper spray, without batons. So now we have to fix the problem.
Pac knew that media is a machine that you either work with it or against, so he worked with it.
These people don't see it every day.
No, but what I would like to see is for children in our country to have a better future than what you guys have. And that's not going to happen when he's repressing his generation and his people by saying they have no hope.
What do you know about my people?
I know a lot about your people.
What do you know about mine? Just because you do charity, give money, wipe the guilt away, does not mean you know about the young black man of today's society.
What would you say is the answer to that? Violence?
No, it's making music. It's what I'm doing now. It sparks dialogue, and that's how laws get made. That's how change get made.
What was gonna be, but supposedly Mr. Arado supposed to have been for dog food too as well.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. It all worked out though.
Yeah, so if Pac talks to Suge Knight comes to jail, Pac says, nah, man, I don't know, man. I can't do this. Do we get the Tupac we have now? Where does his career go? Where does hip hop go, Baylor?
I think he go back to the Bay.
Ooh, okay.
I think he go back to the Bay. I don't even think he touches LA. We don't get we're not getting To Live and Die in LA. We're not getting none of that. No Machiavelli. No, I think the only two options he have, and I think by that time No Limit have left the Bay to New Orleans. So I would say he would have to go anywhere between the Bay or No Limit. And No Limit, I don't think fits his style. I think he
had the money yet either.
Yeah, they didn't have the money either.
But I'm saying, as far as the sound though, when I think of No Limit Records, I know what I'm getting from Amia X. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I know what the sound is gonna sound like. So, but when I think of Sick With It Records, and I think of maybe Pac, if Pac might have to sign with Sick With It Records.
I got a sneaky one, Kyle, in this situation. What if he signed to LaFace? His family, his mom lived in Atlanta. He lived in Atlanta part-time down there. What if he signs to one of them Atlantic labels like LaFace?
That, you know what? Now that would have been a different trajectory for him because of what LaFace was doing at the time. But he wasn't a Southern act. So
no,
at that particular time, it would have been interesting because Outkast was LaFace's cash cow at that particular time. Outkast, TLC, the whole nine. So it was really Atlanta focused. But I want to go back to something Baylor said, and I just thought about it as he was saying it. If Pac goes back to the Bay, I think you could see him go back to the Bay and work with Digital Underground again or whatever and get back on his feet. I think it all depends on a couple of things. One, how much time that he actually does. Because if Suge doesn't come in and bail him out, again, he's looking at 1.5 to 4.5 years. If he serves 4.5 years, I mean, he's getting out of jail like at 2000. So
that leads for me to say is more of a reason why I picked the Bay Area than just the music. I think it's the movement, Black Panther. I think he goes back, and I think that revolutionary Pac that was starting to unfold that we were supposed to get once he left Death Row, I think that sped up. Yeah, I think he does enough time, but he goes back to the Bay Area and he soak up all them roots.
I got something to counter that, and that's not a bad idea. What I will say to counter that is we can't forget what happened. He got shot, so he's got revenge coming to Haitian Jack, Biggie, Puff, whoever set him up that night in his mind. And to this day, we still don't know what he thought or who he thought really shot him, because there's been conspiracy theories and everything like that, but that's beside the point. But I think ultimately Pac still had to, in his mind, he had to get revenge. So even
can I counter that though?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I love this counter.
Hey, I'm gonna counter that when Pac went to jail. How old was he?
23.
Okay. Wow.
So by the time he gets out, how old is he?
24.
I think that revenge is off his mind.
I don't think so. He got, remember, just like what D said,
he got
shot
against all odds.
I think
named a lot of people.
I think look. 12 Cal. Look, I'm thinking if we, because we keeping the same.
But no, Baylor, you're saying in this situation, if I'm correct, you're saying if he does 3 or 4 years, he's got more time to sit there and think about it, not he getting right out immediately.
I think they gonna come and get him.
Who? Digital Underground?
No,
he's saying E40. He's saying E40 because Sick would have had some bread though.
E40. Okay.
Sick would have had some bread because they were out the trunk. I'm
talking about Louis Farrakhan.
Ooh,
yeah. Now that would be something different. If Farrakhan comes and get him, the revenge out the door.
The reason why I said that is because if we're saying Pac is going to continue to be who he is and who we thought he was going to be, I don't see Louis Farrakhan letting him stray away like that. If he's going to have the same attention that he's going to getting out of jail, and we know that, they're going to come and get him because that's a voice.
Right. No, I would agree with that. I just think like if he, because it's like D said, when Pac got shot, he got shot right before he went to trial, and then he got out of the hospital and he left the hospital. He literally left the hospital and went to trial. He went to trial in a wheelchair. So it was like he went from being shot to getting out of the hospital, checked himself out of the hospital, to going to trial and then going to jail. And then now you got to sit for 8 months and with this stewing every day. And keep in mind, the people that he thinks, or at least alleged that shot him, they are running rap.
Yep.
And he's sitting and he's stuck in a cell. I don't think Tupac Amaru Shakur is coming out with any kind of peace whatsoever. I think he's coming out guns a-blazing, not figuratively, but literally, because he's upset.
Yeah.
And Death Row was at least in his mind, the perfect landing spot. And, it's been...
He adapted too much stuff, though. It was
I agree.
Way too much on his plate.
Yeah, but you know what? Pac saw it as, and we've heard this a lot too, and we even heard it back then, was like, because so much money was put up for him. I mean, if you go look at the contract that he signed with Death Row, it was a shady contract, but he was, and people
was on a napkin.
It was on a napkin. So like people wonder how or why he had so much music. It was because he was working off of debt. Like he literally was in the studio making all these songs because once he pumped out All Eyes on Me, once he pumped out the Machiavelli, the Don Illuminati 7 Day Theory album, if I'm not mistaken, he was supposed to be a free agent after that, or at least get his own imprint.
Yeah, because remember at first he was going to do Death Row East. That's what and then he was going to do the album with Smith and Wesson, Nice and Smooth, Buckshot, and Black Moon. It was going to be a collection of art and the brothers from Outlaws as well. It's going to be like and there's some songs that have leaked out from that, over the years from that project. He had Euthanasia. He's going to drop the album Euthanasia,
right?
As well. Pac was going to drop the album Euthanasia. They had the track list out there where he was trying to come up with the idea for the track list. He wrote it down on like a napkin, and somebody like got it and got like 50 grand for it.
Yeah, I remember that. It's
his verses and big verses is like, that's like a bar of gold. You know what I'm saying? Especially, when Kiss said it best, I did real songs with Big, no made up shit. And that means something.
Oh, no question.
You know what I'm saying? So if you can get a unreleased verse from Pac, that's one thing. But if you was there with Pac, that's a whole totally different. That's different.
Right.
Look, this is the track listed for Tupac's album that was supposed to come out. So he got Rise on Him featuring the Outlaws, When I Get Free. So some of these songs have come out. Life Goes On, Secrets of War featuring Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Wonder Why They Call You, Scandalous, Only God Can Judge Me. So this is originally supposed to be before, I guess, All Eyes on Me. Actually.
All Eyes on Me, yeah, because some of the stuff ended up on All Eyes on Me.
Yeah, The Struggling Continues. Scandalous is supposed to be featuring Jodeci originally.
Okay.
Which is that's the
Scandalous it was on All Eyes on Me, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't. Jodeci's not on there though.
No.
So that's
Jodeci's
interesting. He got that.
How Do You Want
It? The Struggle Continues. I can read what he had on that one. Till I See You, featuring Corrupt. The Hearts of Men, featuring Raekwon and Kool G Rap.
Wow.
Damn. Listen. That would have been cold.
Hey, so I'm thinking the Hearts of Man beat the one that Quick did, but think about it, Raekwon and Kool G Rap on it.
Man, listen.
Yeah, that's crazy. Right
that would have been
that's hidden treasure right there.
And I mean, all of this in the midst of the East Coast West Coast beef. He would have still had them dudes on his tracks.
Wow, man.
Because Pac he didn't hate everybody from New York. He didn't hate everybody.
He just didn't like them cats.
Yeah, he really didn't like them.
And anyone that jumped in like to try to cut him any bait.
And no lie, I think it wouldn't. I don't even think it had anything to do with Big. I think that was just Puff.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the rumor that we always heard. That the rumor was, that he had paid for protection, basically, and it was protection wasn't paid for after Pac left,
and that's when you have the big.
And that's what happened when Big got killed.
Man.
But that's street shit. I don't talk about street shit.
Exactly.
I ain't no street dude. That's just what we heard. And it's always interesting, man, because even after all of these years, I mean, bro, we coming up on 30 years and we still don't have a lot of answers as to what happened to Pac or why it happened. Same with Big. And it's, as a hip hop fan and as a fan of both, it's still kind of tugs at your heart a little bit because it didn't have to happen.
Let me ask y'all this question. If we go to scenario, either scenario, my scenario or 12 count scenario, we don't get certain songs.
Oh, of course.
Oh, Hit 'Em Up doesn't happen.
No, never happens.
Yeah. I'm talking about that one B-side song or that one song that just it's kind of like DMX slipping. Like, not too many people got a record like that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying like the joints where it's really like, he really digging into his soul.
The shit that you listen to when you depressed.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because who do you believe in? Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Hey.
Off of an edible, bro. You close your eyes. You wake up, you don't know where the hell you at. It's butterflies.
What if DOC never got into that car accident? What if Ice Cube didn't leave NWA? What if the Game never leaves G-Unit? What if Teddy Riley never moves to Virginia? What if we got that J. Cole and Kendrick album? What if the RZA would have never had that flood? How would the hip-hop world sound today? Welcome to Hip Hop What Ifs, the podcast where we dive into the biggest what could have beens in hip-hop history. From iconic album delays to game-changing partnerships that never happened. We reimagine the culture we love and explore its alternative paths. And you are now at Hip Hop What Ifs.